Okay, so we have this hibiscus flower that I've drawn on the previous video, part 1. And the reason I've separated my videos from drawing to painting is some people might be skilled with drawing and not need those steps and seeing how I did it. I've inked it to help me as I layer the colors that I can see it. I'm going to go back through and ink and add detail at the end of the video as well. So if you just decide to do a light pencil drawing, that's great, as I do that sometimes too. But for the videos, it's hard for watercolor demos to see those light pencil marks. So what I've done is I just have this palette that has, I can't remember, like 42 different colors. And the quality is okay. I've really liked messing around with it, but it's just kind of a fun travel size for a travel size journal that I'm going to do many different daily sketches painting with this. You can layer watercolor a lot without making it muddy. You just have to be careful that you let layers dry a little bit or fully before you layer the next color. Otherwise you overwork the paper and it falls up and it gets crumbly and it looks really bad. And I'm sure some of you have gone through that before. It's so frustrating. So what I've done is I used a pale yellow that added the tinge bit of like a corally orange and pink that I mixed together to do light layers, and then I'm building up. And then you really want that contrast towards the center of that stem that comes out on those bottom petals. And so with those colors, I've got this magenta with some purple, and I add some indigo later on to get really dark contrast colors. Don't be afraid to layer. Layering is so great with watercolor. Sometimes I layer so much it looks antique-y, and it's wherever you want to stop that you feel comfortable. Watercolor can be tricky because when do you stop? If you overwork it, you can't go back, and that's a little bit tricky, whereas with acrylic you can. So you can see I'm just playing it safe and going really light, and then I build and build and build, and here I get really dark. That's where I've added that indigo with the purple and that dark magenta, and these are drying as I'm layering. And then I use the tip of the brush to get these really sharp lines that then I want to soften up. So you'll notice I'll rinse my paintbrush, dab it off, and then kind of fade those sharp lines and colors a little bit, because flowers do tend to have that bleeding effect. Now I've switched the example picture to my finished product now that I'm getting close to the end, and I go through and I start adding just some really soft line work so that you can see these veins, these colored veins that come out for each petal. And then as it dries, I'm going to mix a color, and I want to wash that color over a big section of the petal, because you don't want it to look too spotty. When you have so many colors, we're working with like purples and yellows and peaches and corals, and if I don't layer that, it looked spotty. So then I do the stem, and I splat it, and then I love to go through and do some inking. This just adds texture and depth and contrast, and I haven't done this before, but I used one of them micro colored pens, and this one's a red, but it's a really, let me look at the pen itself. It's a 0.3 millimeter, so it's teeny, and on the video it's harder to see, but I just add some detail veining in there. And then I'm going to go through and use two different millimeter black micro line pens. So I use the 0.35, no, I'm sorry, I use the 0.45 and then the 0.25. And this, you can be creative and make lines thicker and thinner. That adds more texture. You can see areas where I kind of scribbled edge. I outlined some of my splats and then sign it. I thought it was fun. I really enjoyed this, so I hope you guys have good luck with it.